Welcome to this Woods Russell blog on auto-enrollment. My name is Matthew Russell. I'm an expert in accounting, business and tax advice for small and medium-sized businesses as well as individuals, sole traders and partnerships. What this video blog will aim to do is to explain to you the regulatory requirements of auto-enrollment. Many of my clients come to me asking about the financial, how much is auto-enrollment going to cost me? And my answer to them is that the main, it will cost you something, but the main issue with auto-enrollment for small businesses is actually the regulatory burden that it places on you. And in this blog, I'm going to focus on that and explain that to you. As always, I welcome your comments and suggestions. My details can be found on our website www.woodsrussell.co.uk. So hopefully by the end of this video blog presentation, what you'll be familiar with is the different stages of regulation that you have to go through and the different things and when you have to do them to satisfy the pension regulator. I've broken it down into 5 steps, so hopefully it'll be quite simplified, and by the end you'll see how these 5 steps all come together to bring about what you need to do to comply with the pension regulator with auto-enrollment. So without further ado, we will go straight ahead and jump into the presentation.
So this is the timeline that I've developed. So along the bottom we've got time, and then this yellow gold block is your staging date. And here I've put across all the stages that you need to go through in auto-enrollment based on where we are in time. There's 5 stages overall. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at each stage in turn to explain to you what you need to do. So if we move across stage 1 then. So stage 1 is 1 year to go before your staging date. And I call this stage organisation. And at this point you're probably completely unaware of that auto-enrollment pensions exist. However, about 1 year before your staging date, the pension regulator will write to you and give you a bit of information about what's going on, and it will explain to you that you need to get ready for auto-enrollment. Now at this point you need to do 3 things. So the first thing that you need to do is to make a note of the letter reference number, or the letter code, and it should be on the top right hand side of the letter, and you'll need to keep this with you. The pension regulator will ask for you time and time again, and so you'll need to keep that handy. The second thing you need to do is to register 2 points of contact. You can just register 1, but I think it's good to register 2 here. So you can register yourself and your advisor or accountant, and this can easily be done through the pension regulator's website, and they will just use those points of contact to give you prompts and advice about what's going on. The third thing you need to do is you need to speak to your accountant or advisor and let them know that the pension regulator has you on their radar. And at this stage your accountant should be able to give you the basic information about auto-enrollment, and also to tell you if auto-enrollment is relevant to you, because it might not be relevant to you at all. So for example, if you're a single director or an owner of a company, then auto-enrollment's and you haven't got a service contract or a payroll scheme, then auto-enrollment's not going to be relevant to you, and your accountant should be able to tell the pension regulator this, and then you'll have no more duties for 3 years. If you have no further duties, then your auto-enrollment journey stops here, but if you do, then we'll move on to stage 2. So stage 2, this is 1 month now to go before your staging date, and I call this stage the scheme stage, which means you should essentially be looking at getting a pension scheme together, and you should really be doing some research into different pension schemes. The pension regulator actually recommends doing this much earlier, but in my experience clients have been able to quite easily set up a pension scheme fairly quickly, quicker than 1 month, which is why I've put it a month before. It is, however, important that you do get your scheme up and running before your staging date, and that's fairly vital. And even if your employees have told you verbally that they want to opt out or they're not interested in it, you still need to have a scheme in place. If they are due to auto-enroll, you have to enroll them in and then enroll them out, and get, it's a bit of a palaver that, but that's what you need to do. And you need to say, the first thing you need to do is research into pension schemes. There are many different schemes out there from private providers, and there's lots of help out there to find the right scheme for you. And you need to sign up to the scheme, and you'll get the information about what you need to tell the pension regulator, because you need to give the scheme details to the pension regulator when you do your declaration eventually. They'll also set up direct debit potentially with you, and explain to you how you need to pay into the scheme. In my opinion, the best scheme out there for small businesses is the Nest pension scheme, and that's because for small businesses it's the most affordable option, as there's no cost to it at all. Whereas pension providers, they may have more fancy products on offer, but there is also a cost there. If you're interested in the Nest scheme, I've got here the web address to go onto the Nest pension website, and you can all set it all up online from there. And don't forget, if you do use the Nest scheme, don't forget to add your accountant or tax advisor as a delegate, as they will need this to help you through the auto-enrollment pension process. So that's the second stage then. With 1 month to go, you should be getting the scheme in place. So let's go on to the next stage. This is the third stage here, which is actually on your staging date. So this is the first pay date that is passed or on your staging date, and I call this stage the assessment stage, because this is where all those employees that should be auto-enrolled will be assessed, essentially. And that's the first point here: assess your employees. So you need to, at this stage, deduct the amounts that they need to pay to the pension provider, and also calculate the amounts that you need to pay to the pension scheme yourselves. So the payslip that you should be getting after this assessment stage should show the deductions clearly on the employee's payslip, the amounts that they're paying into their pension. And as I said, I'll go into more detail about which employees you need to include here and how much you need to pay them in a later blog. But just to be aware now that on your staging date you should now be assessing your employees. You should also be providing uploads to the pension provider. So whoever you chose in stage 2 as a pension provider, you should now be able to provide them with the information of who's been auto-enrolled and how much they're being paid in pension payments. And your accountant and whoever runs your payroll should be providing you with reports to upload to the pension scheme, and should be telling them these amounts. And really, they should be taking care of this whole process for you. And in my experience, it meshes quite comfortably with the payroll process. And the whole process, if you have someone who provides you with payroll, to you, the client, it should be pretty seamless, the whole process. You shouldn't really notice much change at this stage, just that you're being told to pay extra amounts to the pension scheme. And that brings me on to the third point, because you have to actually pay the pension scheme for now as well. If you have set up a Nest pension scheme, they'll set up a direct debit with you to take these amounts out of your bank account, and that's why the uploading part is so important, because those uploads will tell the pension scheme how much to take from you. So that's the third stage assessment, and that happens on your staging date. So the fourth stage is 6 weeks after your staging date, and I call this staging date letters. And that's because at this point in time, strangely, you don't actually have to write to your employees until after your staging date, although it is good practice to inform them before of what's going on. But at this stage, 6 weeks after, you must have written to your employees to inform them of their circumstances. And this letter that you write to them should aim to give them details of what they need to do to opt in and opt out, and what's happening to them. But remember, you're not allowed to coax your employees into opting out, so you have to be careful here. And a good tip is actually to look on the pension regulator website, and I've got the link up here for you. So if you follow this link, the pension regulator provides templates for free of example letters that you can write to your clients. So you can download those and tailor them to your circumstances and then send them to your employees. And an important point to remember here is that employees who do want to opt out, if they do, you must collect and keep their response in writing. It's not good enough to rely on their verbal communications, and I've seen examples where the pension regulator has levied fines against companies who have not kept good written records of their employees' responses to opt out. But that's stage 4. Is 6 weeks after. Is writing letters to your employees. I mean, you can do it, and you should probably do it straight away after their staging date, but you have until 6 weeks after to actually write to them. And if the pension regulator ever looks into your affairs, they will want to see that you have written these letters. So that's stage 4. Now, so stage 5 is 5 months after your staging date, so quite a way after, and the danger is that it's so long after that you would forget this stage. And I call this stage declaration stage. So you have 5 months from your staging date to sign what's called your declaration of compliance, and this essentially gives the pension regulator your pension scheme details and tells them that you're fulfilling your obligations, and it also gives them basic details about how many employees are enrolled as well, and bits and pieces like that. This can be done quite quickly and simply, again, from the pension regulator website, and I've got the link again here for you, so you can just follow this and do it all online. But the most important thing is not to forget to do it, because you will be fined and receive a penalty if you do forget. And again, if you have an accountant or advisor, they should be monitoring your situation and making sure you do not miss the deadlines here. Okay, so that's the 5 stages of auto-enrollment that I've mapped out for you, and hopefully when you see it as this overarching process, it makes it a bit more manageable and simplified for you. So yeah, I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions or queries at all, please feel free to get in contact with me. All my details can be found on our website at www.woodsrussell.co.uk, and please keep an eye out in the future. As I say, I will be doing another blog on auto-enrollment to get down to the nitty-gritty of how much to pay people and how to assess them properly, and I'll also be releasing other blogs that specifically address business and tax and accounting issues for small and medium-sized businesses, individuals and sole traders. Okay, well, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this blog,